Believe in yourself. You can do it. You're the man. You're the woman. You're the child. You're a child. I believe in you. Time everybody here. Thank you for joining me as always. And two of your favorite, kind of fitness people, not really, have come together because Joe Rogan was on a podcast the other day and they were all talking about, hey, who do you think is basically like a hunky, sexy man? Eventually they started talking about all the superhero people. They probably started talking about The Rock as well. And when they got to Chris Hemsworth, everybody was staring at his physique. I think they were looking at the picture that I've used for this thumbnail. Joe Rogan, the controversial so-and-so that he is, said this.
Between Jason Momoa and Thor.
Did you ever watch his workouts?
No,
like, people go, he's taking steroids.
Yeah. Well, he's obviously, For sure, USADA's not knocking on Chris Hemsworth's door, but you don't get that big without immense amounts of hard work. Yeah. There's no way. You just don't. That. People think he's just taking steroids. Bro, relax.
That is the Flagrant Podcast, and if you go on to watch the rest of it, I'd never watched it before, it's the most testosterone-fueled thing you've ever seen in your life, but they're doing massively successful, so there is an audience out there. But I couldn't have been happier that Joe Rogan said this. Now, let's break down the thing, because so many people are going to say different things. So the first thing he mentioned is that USADA probably isn't knocking on Chris Hemsworth's door. Now, if you don't know, USADA is basically the testing body that the UFC uses, and when you do get drug tested as a professional athlete, and we've got a video about this coming later in the week as well, or soon anyway, you have to basically be ready to be tested at any time. You don't know when they're going to come. You have to let them know their whereabouts, and if you miss, obviously, some tests, you'll get booted out, or whatever organization you're affiliated with, because we don't know whether this guy's on drugs or not. Go look into everything between John Jones and Brock Lesnar, and it will blow your mind. So what he is saying there is that he's probably taking something in order to enhance his physique. He doesn't believe that he's natural, although he doesn't say that. He uses very, very smart language, but come on, in a court of law, he would have to admit that's what he was getting at. But he flies through that, which I think is the most important thing, and the very next thing he says is that everybody is too busy going, man, this guy's on steroids, this guy's on steroids, and they forget about how much hard work he must put into this. And that is the most important thing, because we all do this, and I understand why. We do it with Chris Hemsworth, we do it with The Rock, all the people already mentioned, Jason Momoa, etc. The first thing we do is we decide, well, I don't look like that guy because I'm not putting a bunch of stuff in my ass, which very, very well could be the truth. You don't look at you don't have the similar proportions as the people we're seeing on the big screen, but you also don't have their money, and you also don't have the responsibility they have to get in shape. Because I tell you, if I knocked on your door today and said, I'm going to give you £1 million, but in 3 weeks' time, I need you to be in the best shape possible, in 3 weeks' time, you're going to turn up in the best shape possible, because all of a sudden, not only have I planted a seed in your head and given you a goal, especially if I say, oh man, I'm going to put you in a movie, but the monetary excitement will get you there too. So he has all of that as well. So he has the extra impetus to go a step further. But yes, he will be eating constantly. He will be training constantly. And I know that it's easier for him because he'll have a team around him, but it would be so much better if when we saw these physiques and when we saw these bodies, we didn't get all depressed and upset because oh man, I can never look like that because I'm not taking the same drugs or whatever. And you just flip it in your head. Yes, you're never going to look like that person. That is the number one thing you should take away before you get into anything related to the fitness palace of love. I had a wrestling show at the weekend and I was talking to something about this. The worst thing that ever happened in professional wrestling was Triple H injuring himself in 2001, and then when he came back in 2002, he was the size of a house. Because little guy Simon Miller looked at him and was like, oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. And ever since then, I've been chasing the carrot. And you never chase the carrot. So if we could all get to a stage where like, okay, right, cool. We're not going to like Chris Hemsworth. We're not going to like Triple H. But what we can do is we can use them as motivation. So when all these new shots come out and they've clearly got jacked as possible, as Chris Hemsworth did in that most recent Thor trailer. Oh.
You flipped too hard, damn it!
Don't all of a sudden fall down and be like, well, that's an I can't believe it. Just don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. Focus on all the other stuff he has doing. You do not look like this unless you are kicking somebody's ass or kicking your own ass in the gym. It takes hard work. And of course, putting a performance-enhancing drug in you is going to do what it says on the tin. It's going to enhance your performance with a drug. But there are so many other people that could take that stuff. They don't put the effort in. They don't get their diet right. They're not sleeping. They're not drinking enough water. They're not doing the basic things you need to do in order to build muscle. And so they look like crap. I will tell you now, you would be amazed at some of the people that are taking steroids in your local gymnasium that you'd have no clue because somebody has sold them on this idea. That's the only way you can get in shape. And because they don't do the other stuff, the foundational stuff, it doesn't get them anywhere. And that is something that, and I get the videos and I would do the videos too. Of course, it's great to set and More Plates, More Dates do it wonderfully. Where they look at someone and they go through their physique and they're probably doing this, they're probably doing that. And it's speculation, run rampant, man. It's all good. But in your own world, in your own life when you're trying to find that motivation. All that's going to happen is if you try and put yourself in these people's shoes is that 6 weeks to 8 weeks, 12 weeks down the line, you're done and you're upset because you weren't able to achieve these goals. It's why when you first go into the gym, don't expect to be a mass monster in 6 months because you won't get there. And then half a year down the line, you won't want to train anymore because you'll feel like you're a disappointment. You'll feel like you're a failure, even though you're anything but. Small, realistic goals constantly. Maybe you want to put in 2 pounds of muscle. Who knows how long that's going to take you, but give yourself time to do it. If somebody came to me and said, Simon, I want to put on 2 pounds of muscle in 6 months, and they'd never gone to the gym, I'd be like, well, you're going to smash that. But stick to it, because what the best thing that can happen is you'll put that 2 pounds on maybe in 1 month, but maybe like 3 months, and then you'll be over the moon because you're like, oh wow, I dedicated myself to this idea, I did everything I needed to do, and I got there. Now I'll set myself a little bit of a bigger goal, and a bigger goal, and a bigger goal, and that's how you start seeing progressive overload in the gym, and you start seeing evolution, and you start seeing your physique get better on the scales, in the mirror, other people mentioning stuff to you. The really cool thing is you can then take all these things that you've learned and you can apply them to real life as well, and it's so much more beneficial. It's so much positive for your own existence and your own being to do that, as opposed to there's Chris Hemsworth, he's shot a bunch, or whoever, pick anyone you want. There's Random Actor 9, he's just stuck a bunch of stuff into his ass, and therefore bodybuilding and weightlifting is absolutely crap because I'm never going to look like that. If you get in the best shape you can get in, for starters, you won't realize it because we never do. People are going to look at you and they won't say, well, you don't look as good as Chris Hemsworth. They'll say, holy crap. I've said this before. Even if you don't put on any muscle mass, if you get yourself so lean, to a certain point, some people just do look thin, I admit that. But if you get yourself to sort of 8-7% body fat, and let's say you have a bit of mass on you, but a little bit of mass, people will look at you and go, oh my gosh, you're huge. Go on that awful Daily Mail website if you can dare to brave it. There are countless articles of actors and celebrities who you wouldn't consider gym body guys, whatever you want to say. And they're like, oh my gosh, so-and-so has look at incredible bicep muscle. And if you're into going to the gym, you look at his bicep and you go, what are you even talking about? Like, you've got binoculars out. I'm not saying they're not in good shape, they are, but you're like, I don't understand why this requires an article. But most people do not see it the way that we see it. So they will see your bicep and they will see your rippling six-pack and they'll see that vein flying up your arm and instantly like, oh my gosh, you've got in the best shape. Now, you shouldn't be doing it to anybody else. I'm not saying that. But at the same time, positive affirmation or reaffirmation from other people is a great way to keep you motivated. And that's where you want to get into. So sure, I think Chris Hemsworth, like 6'2", and probably 250, 240, maybe that's exaggerating. He's a big guy. But you can still be 5'10" and 185. And if you're walking around, like I said, with a low body fat percentage and you built a little bit of muscle, you are going to get, I don't want to say you're going to get comments. You shouldn't be training to get comments. It's a waste of time. But if you feel like you want to be part of the club, the Fitness Palace of Love Club, the Big Little Club, you can do it. It's a Big Little Club? Yeah, BLC, the Big Little Club. I haven't said it for ages. Then you can still get there without being this absolutely, crazy level of person. And the other thing is, you may have the genetics in order to hold that much mass. So you may actually start training, not put anything in your tush, and still all of a sudden look in the mirror and go, holy crap, man, I'm building some stuff here. Do not equate yourself basically to these people. And that's why when Joe Rogan, someone that a lot of people listen to, I know it's not on his podcast, but still said that, it is where the focus needs to be. It is not a case of we do some drugs and now we're big. We do some drugs and now we're big. Every action has a reaction. And what usually happens when people first go on testosterone especially is they take way too much and they totally forget that it's got to convert into something and it converts into estrogen. And then all of a sudden they're bloated and their nipples are doing funny things and maybe their skin is a bit oily and they have no idea what's going on because there's this idea, especially if you go on the internet, just research it, that's all you do. Smash this into you and nothing bad's going to happen. You have to be smart with this and you have to take your time with it. Personally, do I think you should do it? No, I think health is the most important word in health and fitness, but I'm not here to deter you either. You have to make your own choices in this life, but don't, be on some kind of regime and then look at someone like Chris Hemsworth and go, I'm going to double it. It's not going to help you. It's not going to do anything. If anything, it's actually going to make it worse for you because you're going to put your body under more strain. So Joe Rogan's an interesting chap. Sometimes I listen to him and think, oh my gosh, that's profound and brilliant. And other times he says stuff and I'm like, oh, how do we get here? But in terms of what he did here, and that clip's only been viewed 142,000 times, but I think the actual episode's like 3.5 million. I don't know how many people are actually going to, gravitate towards that, but I'd love it if that became the norm. I really would, which is why I've sat here and ranted about it today, because we're never going to know for sure. And that's not really on Chris Hemsworth to tell us, in the sense it would not only ruin his own career, it would take down half of Hollywood because it would create a chain reaction. And you know what? Maybe one day that will happen. I mean, this isn't as big as some of the other stuff that we've seen at the high end, but I'm sure at one one stage, nobody thought that would come tumbling down either. So one day we can get it more out there and more open. And I think ultimately the reason why that would be great is because not only is it going to be good for your mental health, but it also kind of normalizes TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. Over the age of sort of 36, 37, 38, you probably want to start looking into it. It's expensive, of course, but if your testosterone levels are dropping and you can just keep a doctor on hand to top you up a bit, why wouldn't you do that, And there's every chance that Chris Hemsworth just does TRT. You'd have to assume that maybe there's something else going on there, but he just may respond really well to it. Some people do, some people don't. There's that picture of Mel Gibson from years ago. And again, maybe he was on something else, but he wasn't out there sort of, being flamboyant with it. And the rumor was he had just started testosterone replacement therapy because he's in his 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever it was. And you could see the change. And I don't think it was for a specific movie role. I'm sure he just went to the gym and he had the extra boost that he would have done when he was back in his 20s. He's just doing it synthetically. So yes, in this instance, let's all listen to Joe Rogan. Remember the hard work. Remember that going to the gym is not easy and it takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes a certain amount of getting mad at it when nothing is happening. But everything else is not the answer, even if you are on it. You don't need to all of a sudden spike that up to some crazy levels, because your health is really, really important and you don't want to look big in a box, which I've said on about 75% of all my videos, but it's true. You can be the biggest, most jacked guy ever, or girl, but if you are lying in a box and everyone's looking at you go, I can't believe it, what was even the point? Now, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Get the bell ding dings for other videos going live. There will be a video on the screen. Please do give it a click. And also, GorillaMind.com/Simon. There is a sale tonight if you're watching this on Monday. Use code Simon, get 10% off and even more on this special day. And remember, if you spend over $215 now and you live in Europe, you get free international shipping. And people have asked that for a while. I get it. That's still a big total. Of course it is. But if you wanted to buy in bulk anyway and you want to get rid of that extra sort of $50, $60 shipping cost, I don't think it was that much, whatever it was, now you can do it. Use the code Simon. That will all be waiting for you from 6 p.m. GMT this evening. Otherwise, Greg Descent's Power 13 cookbook. If you want help with your diet, that's Simon316 on Instagram and Twitter. Patreon.com/Simon316. You will support me that way and get my Gym Fails videos. I'm on Cameo if you want to shout out. Simon.bigcartel.com for merch. But otherwise, believe in yourself. You can do it. You're the man. You're the woman. You're the child. If you're a child, I believe in you. Speak to you soon.